A nation on the brink. Crime unchecked in American cities. Migrants pouring over the border. Fentanyl drugs murdering American youth. What or who is behind this effort to unleash chaos on the people of the United States? Well, here to provide some insights is former prosecutor, Fox News legal analyst, and co-host of The Five, Judge Jeanine Pirro. Her new book is Crimes Against America, The Left's Takedown of Our Republic. Judge Jeanine, it's a pleasure to see you again. First, a 3-year COVID pandemic. Now all of this. So why is it happening to America?
I think that there's an effort on the part of many people to take down this country, to make this country, instead of the exceptional, blessed nation that it is, to turn it into a country where it is not exceptional in any way and where America is last. And the people who want to do that are the ideologues, the people on the left that we have watched for the last several years try to destroy this nation. Starting with, those protests in 2020 when they tried to burn down cities and the mainstream media convinced us, oh, these are peaceful protests while buildings are burning down behind them.
And in your opinion, how are immigration and an open southern border a part of that plan?
We are no longer a sovereign nation with borders. We are nothing more than a globalist landing spot with benefits for anyone who demands that they enter and then demand that they be given the cornucopia of benefits, education, medication, housing, and all of the social safety net that we give American citizens. And make no mistake, I mean, we are all immigrants and no one has a problem with that. But most of us, I would say, pretty much all of us came in legally. Our families respected the process. They swore allegiance to this nation. My father was a veteran from World War II, my grandfather as well. And now they come in, we don't even know who they are, and governors had to go to court to force the Biden administration to at least give them an alien registration number because the Biden administration was simply, releasing them en masse into the interior of the United States. So we don't know who's a pedophile, who's a drug dealer, who's a terrorist, MS-13 gang member, identity thief, a drunk driver who thinks he can beat his wife. And, there are many who come here to work. There are. But if we don't have the ability to distinguish, then how are we to keep American citizens safe? If we don't have the ability to distinguish, how is it that New York City now has thrown kids out of gyms in order to put illegals in those gyms? And kids are being forced to literally or figuratively play stickball in the streets. So, and that doesn't even mention the cartels and being operational at the border, fentanyl being, brought in from China in their undeclared war against the United States, imprinted into pills in Mexico where they're laundering money, and then divvied up through arteries in the United States.
And in your book, you discuss the lockdowns early in the COVID pandemic and how that has harmed an entire generation of young Americans.
All of the public schools in this country were closed during COVID. Catholic schools are open, charter schools are open, Lutheran schools are open, they're open in China, they're open in Russia, they're studying quantum physics, but not our kids. They're suffering emotionally, psychologically, academically. And I start the book, Crimes Against America, The Left's Takedown of Our Republic, with the fact that so many of our kids who are graduating from school can't even read or write proficiently. That is a consequence of teachers not being involved in schooling and reading, writing, arithmetic, but instead involved in critical race theory, convincing white kids that they're supremacists, that they're oppressors, they should feel bad about themselves. And schools now trying to convince our kids that they're of one gender or of whatever gender they feel like. And that created the whole mess in Virginia, which got Glenn Youngkin elected, where a parent's daughter, a couple went in, their daughter had been raped in the girls' room, in the girls' bathroom by a guy who that day identified as a girl. And the guy went in and raped the daughter. The parents are outraged. They go to a school in Virginia. And what happens? The police and the school board arrest the parents. And then Merrick Garland, the head of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, says that parents are domestic terrorists and they're a threat to teachers. Are you kidding me? This is why I wrote the book, Crimes Against America. It is why and how the left is taking down this country. And they are now they are now embedded with the mainstream media, and they have the loudest voices in the room.
We're seeing crime skyrocket in some of our big cities. In Los Angeles recently, bicyclists assaulted a man downtown in broad daylight. Many criminals go unpunished, and now before calling a grand jury, New York DA Alvin Bragg charged former Marine Daniel Penny for accidentally choking Jordan Neely to death on a subway.
This is all the left's takedown. It started when Barack Obama, who was a Marxist, a student of Karl Marx, when he said that there's going to be a transformational change in America. And they defunded the police, they denigrated the police, and now Americans are left to their own, to defend themselves, just like that Marine did a week and a half ago on a subway car in New York City. When he took up the cudgel and he protected those people in a moving subway car that was locked underground as a schizophrenic, psychotic in the middle of an episode, says, he doesn't care if he goes to jail for life or if he dies. That tells you he's suicidal and homicidal. And now they've charged him with manslaughter. Our criminal justice system isn't about justice. It's about political and identity politics. It's about weaponizing the justice system, whether it's the federal Department of Justice or the local DA. And I know of what I speak here. When you've got Soros-funded DAs whose job is to let criminals out of jail and tell the victims, too bad you had a bad go of it, or who are convinced that whatever happened, it's due to the fact that the criminal had no choice but to brutalize another human being, then we're not going to be that shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan so eloquently described. And we are certainly not going to be America first.
Okay, in a moment, more with Judge Jeanine Pirro and a look at the Nashville Shooters Manifesto, the criminal justice system, and a politicized FBI.